The story of the brand new Superman continued this week with the release of Absolute Superman number 6. By now, I think it's safe to assume that everyone knows the origin of the Absolute Universe, and how it is separate from the mainline DC universe. At what point are we going to stop calling it a new universe, by the way? The key thing about the characters in this universe is that they are not carbon copies of what has come before. They've generally struggled more in life, with fewer advantages. Take our Superman, for example. He wasn't raised in America's heartland and taught about truth, justice, and the American way. No. He was raised on Krypton during the doomed planet's final years. He saw a segregated society blindly walking towards its own doom, with the elites hiding the truth in an attempt to save themselves, but damning them all. Last issue focused on the last days of Krypton, about 6 years ago, and how their society tore itself apart in the face of environmental devastation. While his parents had built a spaceship large enough to carry dozens of their friends and neighbours, their ship was hit by a kryptonite asteroid which tore it apart, presumably killing the majority of passengers, or at the very least sending them off in different directions across the universe. This issue picks up shortly afterwards, where we learn that Kal-El was adrift in space for 17 months, while the ship's artificial intelligence looked for a new home. Most adaptations show Kal-El's voyage to Earth as a generally pleasant journey with little hardship, but the teenage Kal is driven to suicide by the tedium and hopelessness of their search. He notes to Sol, the artificial intelligence that his mother programmed to defend him, that he would rather die than continue his suffering, and asks to be released from the ship and dropped into the nearby yellow sun, which is pretty dramatic. It's at this point that the pair discovers that yellow solar energy hypercharges Kal's body. Again, in other adaptations, Superman drinks in solar energy, and it seems like a positive experience, but here, it is agony. Sol has to intervene to help Kal's body handle the heat from this dramatic change. His primary objective is to protect Kal and ensure the El family lives on, and he takes Kal to a nearby planet that has a hospitable atmosphere. It's here that we're introduced to Jonathan and Martha Kent, two farmers who are struggling to keep their ancestral farm going in the face of a hostile takeover from the Lazarus Corp. Jonathan refuses to sell his land to Lazarus, and so they use drones to manipulate the weather and prevent the Kent's crops from getting any water. There's a very clear parallel to be drawn with Kal's parents. If you remember from the first issue, Lara, his mother, was working on fixing a machine while the farmer complained about the Council of Krypton withholding rain from their crops. This forms an immediate connection between the Science Council of Krypton and the Lazarus Corp. They were both withholding water in an attempt to maintain control. It's at this point that Sol crashes on their land, leaving a flaming Kal-El wandering in a dazed and confused state, incapable of understanding what anyone is saying. It's very clear that he is not human, or at the very least not like the Kents. Note that Martha calls him an angel, but they take the wounded boy in and tend to him. And his recovery was not easy as he struggled to get used to his new powers. He caused significant damage to their property, crushing the bed he laid in, burning holes in their walls and ceiling with his heat vision, but they persevered. While Jonathan may have had some reservations at first, it doesn't take long for Kal to win him over, with both of the Kents noting that he has transformed their lives in the short time he's been with them. Not just through using his powers to destroy the weather-altering drones, bringing the much-needed water to their land, or working with Sol to fix their tractor. He gives them purpose and they feel complete. Likewise, he feels completely at home in a farming environment, and he uses Sol to teach himself English so that he can finally communicate with the Kents. But their joy would be short-lived, as you might expect in a universe permeated with evil energy, when one of the Kent's neighbours calls the authorities to inform them of the illegal immigrant living on the farm. The response from the Lazarus Corp is completely unhinged and resembles one of those ice raids that you see shaky mobile phone footage of. The peacemakers descend on the farm, guns blazing, assaulting Jonathan Kent and attempting to manhandle Kal. They don't talk, they bark orders and physically strike. Despite their violence and hostility, Kal holds back and tries to explain to them that they've got the wrong idea. But these people are completely incapable of listening. Having said that, they are entirely unprepared for Kal as he flies away. The closing pages of the issue are set in the present day, where intrepid Lazarus agent Lois Lane has found her way to Smallville on her hunt for Superman, and her superiors comment on their satisfaction with her work. We've already seen Brainiac in previous issues, but now we get to meet the head of Lazarus Corp, Ra's al Ghul. Yes, Superman is helping himself to one of Batman's premier villains, but in this case he seems to be more of a religious figure with what looks like androids draped in gowns, fusing two seemingly incompatible worlds together. It's too early to say much about him, but this has the potential for being quite a significant change, with the mainline Ra's al Ghul being focused entirely on saving the planet, while the Lazarus Corp are doing everything they can to drain its resources. If the mainline Superman represents the ideal American standing for truth, justice, and a better tomorrow, then the Absolute Superman shows us the negative side of American exceptionalism, its hostility towards visitors, how quickly the peacemakers resort to violence, and how corporations choke the life out of the people that don't comply with their demands. There's quite a lot of political commentary in this series. Some might argue that it's heavy-handed, but personally I think it's needed. In a time where empathy is politicized and compassion is treated like a weakness, Absolute Superman reminds us why we need these stories. Not just to reflect the darkness we live in, but to show that it's still possible to rise above it. To be better, not because it's easy, but because it is right. Absolute Superman number 6 is available now from all good comic shops. If you are based in the UK and don't have a comic shop near you, then you might want to use my affiliate link with the UK's biggest comic retailer, Forbidden Planet. I have included a link in this video's description. Alternatively, if the idea of hoarding a collection of comic books fills you with dread, I am getting perilously close to filling our storage unit, you may want to try getting a digital copy of the issue from Amazon. I also have an affiliate link which you could use to help my channel out. I've included the Amazon affiliate link in the info button in the top right corner, as well as this video's description. To those that have read this issue, what did you think? Superman only lived with the Kents for a few weeks, but he had a hell of an impact, right? How long until we find out how Brainiac ended up under Ra's al Ghul's control? And now that Lois Lane is on the scene, how long until she tracks down Martha Kent? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And just before I wrap up, special thanks to all of my current channel members who help make these videos possible. Their names are listed on screen right now. Next time. Next Monday, I'm returning to the world of the Creature Commandos to talk about arguably the most tragic figure, Nina Mazursky, and how all she ever wanted out of life was to make friends. Then on Friday, it's officially Superman Day, apparently, so I'm going to put out a video talking about how Superman the Animated Series' The Last Son of Krypton 3-parter is the perfect Superman origin story. And also next week, I'll be talking about Absolute Batman number 7, which promises to introduce us to a very different version of Mr. Freeze. Scott Snyder's rewrite of Mr. Freeze's origin during the New 52 era wasn't very popular with fans, or at least it wasn't popular with me. But without the shackles of decades of continuity, I think he stands a good chance of winning us over with this bold new take. Hope to see you then.